Thank you very much. I'm Richard, and what we wanted to do today was just showcase a couple of the dishes that we might do at the college, but also look at some of the new things we're doing at the college. We've just taken on board an allotment. We've converted part of the college into allotments, and we're actually starting to produce some of our own fruit and some of our own vegetables. So we're going to use some of the fruits and some of the veg today to do a couple of dishes. I'm doing a simple rabbit salad, and Jamie is?
Yep, I'm doing a goat's cheese cheesecake, and I'm going to be using some fresh black currants as well for a compote to go with that. So what I'm going to do first of all is I'm going to make the filling for the cheesecake. So I've got 125 grams of soft goat's cheese here, and that's going to go in with 112 grams of caster sugar and soft cream cheese as well, and we're just going to beat that together. I'm using goat's cheese. It's a nice flavour with this dish. It goes well with the black currants. So you might think, oh, goat's cheese and cheesecake, but actually it's quite nice in sweet recipes.
Fair enough. So there are a couple of things I need to do first of all. Some of the vegetables I'm going to pickle, so the first thing I want to make is a little pickling liquid for my veg. So in here I've got some hot water, about 100 mils of water, 50 grams of sugar, and then some rice vinegar to actually make the sourness for the pickle. And just some aromats just to give that a bit of extra flavour, a bit of oomph. So in here I have some star anise, some coriander, black peppercorns, and a little bit of cumin. So that's going to go in there, and that's just going to infuse for 5 minutes whilst we look at the rabbit. I've gone for rabbit today just to show you something slightly different as opposed to chicken or fish. This has come from our local butcher, the college butcher, which is down in Devonport, Merivale. I just thought I'd show you how easy it is just to break down a rabbit for a salad. Comes with fur off. The first thing we do is just remove the front legs. There's no bone attaching this on at all. It just comes off. We then take off the back legs, and again, it's just a case of sliding the knife through. It's that easy. So that gives us 2 nice legs. And then I just want to take out the loin of the rabbit here. And it's just a case of sliding down the back. And then just easing that out of there. Do it on both sides. And then with the bones, we've got stock. So if you want to, make any kind of stock, we can make it with this, roast them, do a nice brown stock. So nothing goes to waste there. And then with the legs, there's just a couple of bones here, and I'm just going to take it away from the bone, because obviously we don't really want that in our salad. Jamie?
Yep, so I've beat the sugar and the 2 cheeses together till they're soft. And what I'm doing now is I'm just adding in a whole egg. I'm adding the egg. It's going to be baked, so it's a baked cheesecake. And this is definitely a free-range egg. This is from my mum's back garden, from her chickens. Hello, Mum. So, going to beat that in. I'm not adding it all in at once because I don't want to split the mixture. So I did about half to start with. Second half just beating in now. I put a tablespoon of lemon juice in there as well, just to cut through that richness a little bit, and a little bit of zest. Not the pith, not the white part of the lemon, otherwise you end up with a bitter taste, and we just want the fragrant zest in there. That's done, and then I'm going to fill up my molds. I'm going to show you how to make, I made the biscuit base, I'm going to show you how to make that in a minute, but here's some I've made earlier, so let's fill those. and trying to make sure we don't spill loads of mixture down the side. I'm going to bake these at 150, nice low temperature, otherwise we're going to end up scrambling that egg that we've put in and it will look split and a bit of a mess. So, in we go. Last one. And then just level the top off there as well. Now these would take about half an hour, but just keep an eye on them. We want them just set.
Okay, so with the rabbit, all I've done while Jamie's been doing that is with the legs, I've taken the bone out and just a couple of simple knots tied the two together. And then with the loins, all I've done is remove the skin. It's quite straightforward, quite simple. And all I'm going to do with the loins themselves take about 4 minutes to cook. However, the legs take about 15 to 20 minutes. So what we're going to do with those is I would brown them off, salt and pepper, and pop them in the oven. And what you end up with, and these are ready to go in the oven. These have just been browned, so I'm just going to pop them in the oven to warm through. They're going to go with our salad later, okay? And then get rid of this board. To go with my salad, like I said, we're going to do just a fresh kind of vegetable salad. So we're going to do some beans from the allotment. I've got broad beans and I have peas. And all I want to do with these peas will only take a couple of minutes to cook. But with the broad beans, they come with as we all know, we buy them, they've got this nice sort of hard shell on there, which we can eat. But for a salad, we don't want that chewiness. We don't want anything to get between our teeth. So I'm just going to blanch them and then remove the skin off the beans. And the other thing I need to do now is just the veg to go with the pickle. So what I'm going to do is slice some carrots, a little bit of shallot as well, and again from the allotment we've got some nice French breakfast radishes to go in there as well. So just prep those. Okay.
Yep. Okay, so while Richard's doing that, I'm going to make the biscuit base now. And for the base of the goat's cheese cheesecake, I'm making a rosemary, hazelnut, and lemon shortbread. You could make it as you normally would make a cheesecake, maybe at home with digestive biscuits, break them up. But I think it's nice if you take that extra bit of effort and make your own biscuit. Now the butter that I've used isn't cow's butter, it's goat's butter. It's a lot richer, and I think you get a nice richer flavour and crumblier texture to the shortbread. And the rosemary goes well with sweet recipes as well. So I've just creamed the sugar and the goat's butter together. And then I'm going to start putting my dry ingredients. So we've toasted some hazelnuts. Good time of year for hazelnuts. There's plenty on the trees at the moment. So if you're into your foraging, you could go out and get your own hazelnuts. Mix those in. A little pinch of salt for some flavour. And then we want the rosemary. Now I've got some little thyme flowers as well, which I'm going to put on the dish, which will go nice as a decoration. And again, thyme works well with sweet flavours. So we want about a teaspoon of fresh chopped rosemary. Just chop that up nice and fine.
Okay. So I've used a mandolin. I think we saw one being demonstrated earlier, just to slice the carrots. I appreciate not everybody has one of these at home. You can do it with just a potato peeler. And that will give you some nice thin slices as well. Obviously for convenience I use the mandolin. I've done some little shallot rings, so just taking the shallot, rather than cut it in half, we've taken it, left it whole, so we've got some nice rings of shallot. They go into our pickle as well, along with those carrots. And also the French breakfast radishes as well. Okay. The beans have now been blanching for about 2 minutes. I'm just going to strain those.
Okay, so while Richard's doing that, I've mixed in my rosemary, and now I'm going to add the flour to bring the dough together. But it's important that I don't beat this or overwork this now, otherwise we're going to get the gluten working in the flour, and we're going to end up with a really tough biscuit. So if you've made shortbread at home, and the biscuit that you've made once it's come out of the oven is quite hard and tough, you've probably overworked the mixture once you've added the flour, or maybe you've overcooked them. You don't know. So I'm just going to work that in gently.
Okay, the broad beans being blanched. I've refreshed them. Let's cool them down with a little bit of cold water. And then very, very simply and easily, just with your nail, just break a bit of the skin and these will pop out. And you can see straight away, that's the colour of the broad bean that you normally have on your plate. But if you take the skin off, you've got this nice bright green vegetable. So I'm just going to pop these, and then I'm going to put them back in the water because they're still quite hard. And this is going in the salad. You want a little bit of softness there. And they're going to go back in the water at the same time as the peas go in as well, because they'll cook then together. The peas obviously cook a lot quicker than the broad beans will.
Okay, so I'm still gently folding that flour in. And I can bring it together with my hands in a moment. As long as you've got clean hands, there's nothing wrong with using those. Just plain flour, yeah. We wouldn't want the biscuit rising, so bringing that together with my hands. Okay. Nice and gentle. Soften the butter a little bit beforehand, that helps as well.
So in with the peas, a few of the broad beans, I won't do them all. They go in there, and they're going to go in for about 3 minutes, and they're just going to sit gently. The water's not boiling, they're just sitting in the hot water. There's no salt in the water either. I don't want any extra salt in there. We're going to add something else to them in a bit, which is going to season them then. Okay. With the rabbit, we had the loins. Remember, the legs have gone in, and all I want to do with these is season them lightly. Salt and pepper. And then in my nice hot frying pan, a little bit of olive oil. We don't use a lot of olive oil for cooking. Olive oil tends to be more for flavouring. It's got a strong taste. But with the rabbit, it's going to work quite well. If this was, say, fish, because you could use fish, you could use chicken for this salad, you would use just a vegetable oil, so that doesn't have a strong flavour, otherwise you lose the taste. So we're going to pop those in. Turn them over a couple of times, just to start the colouring process. And then once they're seared, to get a nice even cook, we're just going to roll them backwards and forwards in the pan. On the heat, and that'll just as it rolls, obviously it's going to cook evenly. It's a little bit like a nice steak. We want this to be served sort of medium rare. With rabbit, you don't have to cook it all the way through. These rabbits are actually farmed rabbits I'm using today from our butchers at Merivale, but someone like Palmer's in Tavistock, they will provide you with wild rabbits. And the rabbits cost about £3 each. It's a really cheap sort of substitute for something different to go on your plate.
Okay, so I've rolled up the shortbread. So you could make this the day before if you were making this for a dinner party or something. Get your mise en place done, your preparation done. That can be made. I'd chill that for an hour before you're going to use it, but it wouldn't hurt to stay in the fridge for longer. So that's pre-done. And here's one that I have made earlier, made it this morning.
So I'm just going to press lightly, and through the pressing I can tell how far cooked it is. If it's just gone on the heat, it's only been cooking for about a minute, it's going to be very, very soft. Obviously the longer it goes, the tighter that muscle becomes and the firmer it is. So I want something that's sort of a nice gentle touch with a little bit of a spring back, and then that way I know that it's just there. And what I'm going to do is put them here. They're still cooking. They've come out of the pan, it's very, very hot, so they're still cooking. So at the moment they're rare. By the time they've cooled down a little bit, they're going to be medium rare. So that process, that resting's not just to relax the meat, it's also to let the cooking process continue. With the pickled vegetables, I've just strained them. They're still nice and crispy. They're not sort of very floppy and limp. They've still got a little bit of crunch to them. And then with the broad beans and the peas, again, they've been passed. I haven't cooled them down. I haven't refreshed them this time. They're still cooking away there. And I want a bit of warmth in my salad. I want I want cold lettuce leaves. I want some warm vegetables in there as well. So to this, I'm just going to add a little bit of balsamic vinegar. Different types of balsamic vinegar. The one you sort of buy off the shelf is probably only a couple of years old, cut with a little bit of red wine. It's very, very thin. This is 12-year-old balsamic vinegar, and you can see how thick that is. Okay, obviously 12-year-old vinegar is going to go, it's about £19 a bottle. It's quite expensive, but you can, if you add a little bit of sugar to some balsamic vinegar, you can reduce that and sort of make a bit of a syrup. Alternatively, if you can, get the good stuff. I'm just going to add a little bit of that to my peas. Okay.
Excuse me. Right, so I've got the cheesecake in, just to recap there. So the goat's cheese cheesecake is in. I've just put the shortbread biscuits in. This is down on 150, obviously, for the cheesecake. Normally, I would cook the shortbread at 170, so a little bit higher. About 15 to sort of 20 minutes on that. And those cheesecakes on the top are going to take about half an hour.
Okay. So how long till they're actually done? Sorry.
These I've got some pre-done. So
okay. So I'm getting quite close to putting this together now. I've got my rabbit. I've got my pickled vegetables. I've got my nice allotment peas and beans. The other thing that I have here, and I've had to pre-do this, is some beetroot. These have been roasted for about 45 minutes because they're quite small beetroot. The bigger ones can take anything up to 2 to 3 hours. They can take quite a long time. These are quite small. I've got two types. I've got the ordinary sort of red beetroot, and this one is a candy beetroot as well. It's a lot sweeter. So I've got a nice sort of savoury red beetroot, and I've got the sweet candy beetroot, and I'm just going to peel those. Again, these have been done in advance. Into the tin foil, obviously went the beetroot, but a little bit of olive oil and a lot of salt and pepper. Because they're cooked in the skin, you want that flavour to go through. You need a little bit extra to go through there. And obviously I'm using the gloves, not so much for hygiene purposes, because the beetroot stains quite badly. So. The gloves.
Okay, so just quickly while Richard's getting his gloves on. I've got some black currants in here, about 225 grams, and they've come from my mum's next door neighbour, so that's the last time I'm going to embarrass you, Mum. So they're in there. 2 tablespoons of creme de cassis, which is a blackcurrant liqueur. That's going to intensify that blackcurrant flavour. 2 tablespoons of water as well. And then I've just got a tablespoon of arrowroot. I'm going to mix that with a tablespoon of cold water and then mix it into my liquid once it's hot, just to thicken it up. You wouldn't tip that arrowroot straight in there. Otherwise, you're going to end up with a lumpy mess. So it's important to make it to a paste first. And go. So we're not going to cook these until they're completely to a pulp. We just want the juices coming out and the fruit keeping its shape, so it looks better for the presentation.
So with these beetroot, obviously I've used the gloves and I've rubbed rubbed the skin off the beetroot. I'm just chopping them up just to go in the salad. Just to show you the difference. Obviously the ordinary beetroot are nice and red, but if you look at the candy beetroot, they're completely different and they're a lot sweeter. They're very, very sweet, especially when they come out of the oven. They almost caramelize in the oven. Okay. And like I say, these are generally grown in our allotment. I picked these yesterday. The little ones come from my back garden because the ones in the allotment weren't ready. But you can buy these. Morrison's out at Plymouth have quite a good vegetable range now, and they're doing all these types of beetroot if you're interested. Okay. Get rid of these gloves. So I have my beetroot. I have my rabbit. The rabbit in the oven is pretty much there.
Okay.
Yeah.
That looks good.
Okay, thank you. That's there. This has been resting and it's softened up nicely now. All my carrots, my beans are ready, and the last thing obviously for the salad is some lettuce leaves. I've got a nice selection of mixed lettuce from the garden. There's pak choy in here, there's mustard, there's mizuna, and there's rocket, and a little bit of land cress as well. Okay.
Right, so they're just starting to bubble away there. So we'll just check that they're just cooked. So need a slightly little bit longer. But it's all right because I've got some I've made earlier, so. And there we go. So that's the arrowroot there, just mixed up to a paste with the water. Put that in. And it goes different colour at first, but it will cook out and go transparent again.
Okay. So I've got all my components ready, so I'm just going to put the salad together now on these large plates. With the rabbit, we just need to remove the string. Okay. Nice and gently, and then with this leg, we can just carve the leg now.
Right, so I'm going to start plating up my cheesecake as well, and I'm just using a few of these leftover biscuits just to make a crumb. I'm going to serve some clotted cream with this as well, which I'm going to put on top of that.
Okay, our peas and beans are going to be the base for our rabbit loin, and obviously we've got the nice sweet balsamic vinegar in there as well, which is going to form part of the dressing for this dish. Like so. With the rabbit loin, I'm just going to do similar to the leg. I'm just going to carve these. I don't know if that sort of picks up on the mirrors, but you can just see how moist the rabbit is inside. Okay.
Okay, so my pre-done compote, I'm just going to pop that on top of the cheesecake.
Okay, we can drop some of our nice garden leaves just around the plate. This is going to give it a little bit of crunch. Everything on here at the moment is a little bit soft, so the leaves will help just give that a little bit of bite and a little bit of crunch, as well as extra sort of peppery flavour. I haven't dressed them yet. I've made a dressing to go on these, which I'll just show you in a second. Okay. And then our nice roast beetroot. Just dot those around as well. Stop those. And then finally, some of our pickled vegetables. And rather than just lay these on, I'm just going to take these carrots and roll them up a little bit. And that just gives a little bit of, again, a little bit of colour. Nice sweet taste. Carrots and carrot rabbit is sort of a natural combination, really.
Okay, so I've got my cheesecake on there. Just going to put a few of the thyme flowers that I mentioned earlier. Say they go well with some sweet recipes. We've got the rosemary and the biscuit as well, so I'll go with that. And a little bit of lavender on the top there.
A few shallots. Some of our radish as well, just to drop on the plate. Like so. Let's move that. The dressing for the salad, all I have in here is a little bit of pomace oil, the light olive oil, not the strong one. We don't want to lose all the flavour here on the salad. Some coarse grain mustard and some more of the rice vinegar. I've been using rice vinegar. It's not as harsh as, say, a white wine or a red wine vinegar. It's much more pleasing on the sort of the palate. A little bit of that on there. We don't need a lot. And then the last thing,
You wanted to try some of the biscuits.
just pick these up from Taste Buzz, which is the stand next to the college stand. They've just let me have some of these. These are pea shoots. And I know we see these used a lot sort of on the telly and that, but they taste like peas and they do complement this. They've got a nice crunch, so we'll just a few of those on there as well. Okay. They have rabbit salad.
Lovely.